So I realize that we talk a lot about really cool or really trendy hairstyles for men, but this is always with the assumption that you either have access to a great hairstylist or that you are willing to pay for a great haircut. I actually had a really great user submitted idea left on one of my recent videos being like, what if we don't have access to really good hairstylists where we live? Or another interpretation, what if we don't want to pay for it? So what are some of the hairstyles that I can recommend that hairstylists simply can't get wrong? And that's what we're going to talk about today. To kick things off, if you are in the market for a new stylist, try to get a sense of the place that you're considering. You know, what is the reputation like? Does the stylist or space itself have online reviews that you can check out, or even an Instagram? It's a great source these days of previous client examples. Or even another question to consider is, how important is a great haircut to you? Are you willing to sacrifice a great haircut for a more budget experience? You know, all I'm saying is that you usually have the opportunity to source some information before blindly walking in, thus reducing the chances of a bad haircut to begin with. That said, we don't all have options, so if you're either looking for a quick fix because you're far from home, or wherever you live simply doesn't have the talented stylist that you're looking for, let's go over some options. Here's the general rule of thumb. The more hair that you have all around, from the sides and the top, then the less obvious mistakes become, and therefore the less obvious it is that you might have a bad haircut. I've noticed that it's pretty commonplace for budget establishments to want to mess with the hairline. This should almost always be a no-go and something that you make clear if it looks like they're about to take a pair of clippers to the hairline. And by the way, the video that you're seeing here is from a video where the barber was actually fixing up the messed up hairline, so I didn't want to throw shade on the YouTuber. He's trying to help out. He's not the one who messed it up, so just wanted to make that clear. But for some, pushing back the hairline or trying to line it up is seen as a method just to make the overall haircut look more tidy or more cleaned up. But in reality, pushing back the hairline is such a ball ache to deal with, especially once it starts to grow out, which happens pretty much immediately, by the way, after you're done with the haircut. It's gonna look totally obvious and there's very little that you can do to cover it, especially if it's right there at the front. So just keep that in mind, and really the only exception is if you really want something done to your hairline for personal hairline reasons, whatever that might be for you. That's the only reason. And now for your hairstyling options that you can take to your barber who might not be the most talented, but should be able to pull this off and make it not look completely terrible. Let's kick it off. I'm gonna skim over this first one really briefly because it's the most obvious, and that is the buzz cut. But the reason why I want to include the buzz cut, first of all, because it's an obvious option. I mean, a buzz cut is typically so simple you could probably do it in your own bathroom, but also it's a hairstyle that really isn't a bad option for guys. It's kind of hot right now, it's trendy, and also more guys can pull it off than they realize. For guys that really love their hair, I can see why the buzz cut is usually an instant write-off, but if you're having to pick between some limited options, it's honestly not a bad option. And just to be clear, I'm referring to buzz cuts with the same length all around, no fades, because fades is where things start to get tricky. Less opportunity to make obvious mistakes. And when it comes to grown out hairstyles, you've got a number of good options to pick from in this category. First, these shorter, messy, beachy vibe hairstyles with grown out sides. I mean, messy is in the name, so precision is not vital to make this hairstyle look good. If you're looking for a hairstyle that is actually hard to make look terrible and has a laid back, relaxed type of attitude associated, well, this could be the one. Another grown out option that looks a little bit more put together if total mess is not your style is the medium slick back messy pushbacks. Medium, what is it? The medium length messy slick backs. Again, messy is in the title, but there's a little more control involved. AKA, it's not perfectly slicked back with greased up pomades. I want to let you know that the Blue Mound pomade is not greasy. It's important for you to understand. In fact, it's in my hair right now as a wonderful pre-styler. It's what I used before I blew dry my hair today. You see? No grease. How cool. You should check it out. And I know the examples that I showed you were on the longer side, but really my hair is kind of falling in this category as well now. You can see there's no fades going on. It's all grown out really. It's still pushed up. It's not as long, but it's, you know, basically my hairstyle falls into this category as well. As long as your stylist has the general ability to make your hair look like a similar length all around, and this side isn't obviously way longer than this side, then you should be able to take this kind of hairstyle to your stylist, and they should be able to pull it off without it looking absolutely terrible. For our last grown out recommendation, this is for the guys looking to keep it as cleaned up as possible without the risks that fades bring into the equation, and that is the tapered hairstyles. The difference between a taper and a fade is that fades are basically tighter tapers. A taper just means a gradual transition where your hair goes from shorter to longer on the sides And a fade is usually starting from skin or very close to skin and going up. And finally, if you do not want the grown out look, you absolutely have to have short sides. The simple disconnected undercut is probably your best bet. The thing about the undercut, it doesn't really matter how much length you have on top. It's more about the disconnection that you're dealing with on the sides. And this means keeping it as short as you want on the sides while making sure it's all the same number. So again, there are no fades involved, and it takes out the worry of blending into the top of the hair where that smooth transition would normally take place. So yeah, the fades, that's hard for barbers who aren't the best. And then the blending between here and the top of your hair, that's also kind of difficult. So if you're going for a disconnected undercut, you take out that stress and you still have a hairstyle that looks pretty good. The main thing that you want to avoid if you're dealing with a guy who doesn't give the best haircuts is anything that requires a lot of technicality, especially fades that are trying to blend from the skin upwards. You should have a good amount of hairstyles to choose from this list, and just remember, even if you might not have access to the most talented of stylists, you still have a good option to choose from for a hairstyle that will still look good on you. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this helps. Blumon.com for all your product needs. I'm planning on making a video very soon on what to do if you already received a bad haircut. So keep a lookout for that one, probably next time, and I will see everybody next time.